It doesn't take long to become addicted to opioids. In fact, 10 Pennsylvanians die from them every day. Geisinger is committed to ending opioid addiction with both prevention and treatment. In the last 3 years, we've reduced the amount of opioids we prescribe by 50%, and we've opened 4 outpatient addiction treatment centers across the state to help patients recover from addiction. Learn more at geisinger.org/recovery.
Additional support provided by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and viewers like you. Thank you.
Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, it was actually the opioid crisis, which was the biggest public health crisis that we were seeing in Pennsylvania and throughout the nation. And while our efforts are focused now on this pandemic of COVID-19, the opioid epidemic and the substance abuse epidemic have not gone away. It is critical that Pennsylvanians know that even in these challenging times, help is available. Drug and alcohol treatment providers are open and available during this very trying time and continue to accept patients suffering from substance use disorder. And if you or a loved one are in need of substance use disorder treatment or resources, please call Pennsylvania's Get Help Now hotline at 1-800-662-HELP. Again, 1-800-662-HELP.
A 2019 report from the National Center for Health shows that there was an estimated 2.9% decline in the total number of overdose deaths in the United States. Nearly 7 out of 10 of these overdose deaths were due to opioids. Hello, I'm Paula Giangiacomo. Tonight, Pennsylvania Public Media presents our 5th collaborative program in which we'll revisit stories of hope and recovery that were featured in this series. For some, it's been a very long road, especially in dealing with the recent coronavirus outbreak. We'll find out tonight how those in recovery are doing today. Recovery starts with a call, 1-800-662-HELP, or visit battlingopioids.org. The coronavirus is now affecting all aspects of life. For someone dealing with addiction, the change in routine could be detrimental to their recovery due to isolation and increased anxiety. While in-person group meetings are now canceled, some are taking these services online.
For people in recovery from addiction, help during the coronavirus crisis is just a click away.
The recovery community is not taking a day off.
Northampton County Drug and Alcohol has organized virtual sobriety meetings through both of its recovery centers, Change on 3rd Street in Easton and Change on Main in Northampton. Brian Sabo is the program director of both centers.
What is Change on Main and Northampton County doing right now to help people access all of your resources?
Okay, so as of now, we're acting as a hub. We're taking telephone calls and working through social media. So we've been connecting online meetings, virtual meetings on the Zoom app.
He says in the past, both locations have offered over a dozen in-person sobriety meetings each week. Now they're hosting an average of 50 virtual meetings per week.
Typically throughout the week here at Change on Main, I have anywhere between 250 and 300 people come through our doors. Between meetings and social events we have, it's literally in the Lehigh Valley, thousands of people are just getting together through these Zoom meetings as we speak now.
Rhonda Miller is a certified family recovery specialist who manages Oasis Community Center in Bethlehem, which provides support and resources to the family and friends of people struggling with addiction. She says it's critical for people in recovery to stay connected while following stay-at-home orders.
Somebody could be going through recovery right now and they could be just in their apartment by themselves. And that's not really ideal.
It's very unfortunate. It's dangerous, but I would just encourage these people to avail themselves to the many, many resources that are out there. There's a lot of anxiety, and families feel that anxiety when their loved ones are struggling. There's concerns. Their loved ones are no longer able to connect with their personal support groups face to face.
Sabo says too much stress and anxiety can contribute to a relapse.
I've been sober for just about 8.5 years. And this added stress, I've learned how to cope with stress, but this is a type of stress that's beyond anybody's imagination. And what I've been doing personally is making more phone calls than I do normally throughout the day and night.
Do you foresee people relapsing due to the added stress?
Boy, that's a tough question. I mean, I would like to think not, but certainly it's possibilities through phone calls and social media that they can stay in contact with people when they're struggling and get through that couple of minutes it takes to relieve that thought.
Miller says the entire recovery community has an all-hands-on-deck mentality right now.
Addiction is a very strong disease. We've turned to technology, as everybody has. I have daily Zoom meetings every day so that I can offer ongoing support and continue to build the community that we've built.
And people like yourself, as far as you know, nobody's taking a day off. Everyone's like, we've got to work even harder now.
Yeah, our work schedule has expanded.
You can find a full list of virtual recovery meeting options on pbs39.org. Reporting in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, I'm Megan Frank, PBS 39 News Tonight.
Recovery starts with a call. Call 1-800-662-HELP or visit battlingopioids.org.
For all of us, it could, the answer might be, I'm going to escape from this.
Coronavirus is affecting all aspects of life. For someone recovering from addiction, the change in routine could be detrimental. Some people would go to group meetings every day. Now that those meetings are canceled, some are taking the group online.
People are setting up their own online meetings. The thing with that is not everyone is technology savvy, so I think there's still many people that are affected here.
County officials are also working on a way to accommodate online group meetings. Dunwoody has been in recovery and clean for more than 5 years. He tells us the isolation facing others in recovery is a real concern.
Isolation is a trigger for people, to be alone in their own thoughts, and especially with the fear that people have of the unknown. It's just a very stressful time. I think just asking someone, like, are you okay?
Carbon Monroe Pike Drug and Alcohol in Lehighton is making some changes to the way they support their patients. The administration building is only open to essential personnel, and business is being conducted over the phone.
We had canceled our groups to minimize the amount of people that there were in the building and the large gatherings. We saw people individually. Tuesday, the 17th, we actually began to do telephonic sessions with the outpatient staff here in the office.
Helping somebody through recovery over the phone definitely has its downfalls. You can't read somebody's body language, and then there's the isolation that we spoke about. However, there are also some upsides.
Over the telephone, individuals will have kind of that false sense of security where they can let their guard down, their fears of going into public because of the COVID-19, and also, like I said, because of transportation. So as long as they're able to pick up the phone.
If you or someone you know could benefit from the Carbon Monroe Pike Drug and Alcohol, or want to know more about the precautions they're taking, you can reach out to the office or visit cmpda.cog.pa.us. In Lehighton, Carbon County, I'm Ben Stemrick, PBS 39 News Tonight.
For more information about the services featured in this segment, visit battlingopioids.org. Our first guest is Jessie Miller, Director of Drug and Alcohol Programs at Robinson Counseling Service Center of Wyoming Valley. Hi, Jessie, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Since group meetings have been restricted due to the coronavirus, are people in recovery more apt to relapse, especially in the early stage of recovery?
Well, I think this has created some unique challenges for staff and for our consumers. Our primary goal is to keep them engaged. And I think that if we provide them with opportunities to remain engaged, be it with support systems or programming, then I think we can significantly reduce those outcomes.
How has your normal operating procedure changed since the coronavirus outbreak?
Well, it's unique that one day we are providing group meetings, having 8 or 9 people in a group and seeing people face to face, and then the next day that comes to a screeching halt. So really what we've done is focused on reaching out to our patients, seeing what kind of technology they have so we can provide telehealth, be it via just telephone or Skype or GoToMeeting or Zoom meetings. I mean, there's been a lot of opportunities for us that have been here for a long time, but we previously never utilized.
Do you find that people suffering from addiction or who are in recovery, do you find that they're reaching out for more virtual meetings? Do you find that they need these meetings?
I absolutely do. Our consumers that we are working with, they've been really receptive. We've been reaching out, having conversations with them on the phone. For a lot of them, it's the first time they've had somebody who's providing therapy to them, reaching out to them and having conversations about things that may or may not be directly related to their recovery, but we know that there's a problem right now with many of them losing their jobs or worrying about food on the table or childcare issues. So we know we have a lot of resources internally. So what we're doing is we're making sure that all of our consumers have those resources. And in addition, making sure that they have the connections to online fellowship meetings or smart recovery meetings, many of which are happening locally through recovery centers or through some national organizations.
So where can people go if they need help online?
I would direct everyone to the Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs website. When you go on the website, the first question it asks you is if you would like resources in response to the coronavirus. And when you click on that link, there's a list of multiple recovery support services and dial numbers that you can talk to somebody and helpline, and also the 662 help number, which is something that's been a great option for our consumers. And then locally in Luzerne County and surrounding counties, we have our recovery centers. Most of them are holding some form of a virtual meeting on multiple times a day.
Thank you, Jesse. We appreciate you joining us on this program.
Thank you.
We first brought you the story of Chris's Room in 2018. It's a place of respite in Washington, Pennsylvania, for those who find themselves without a home or family as they struggle to stay off drugs. Francis Fresina is among those who credit Chris's Room with helping him maintain sobriety. We caught up with Francis 2 years after we first met.
I'm very well today. I can't tell you how great it is not to be caught in active addiction anymore. The last time I was on camera with you guys, we met at the Center of Excellence in Washington, and I was turning over some stones in Chris's room, sort of reflecting over people I've known. Jessica was an ex-girlfriend of mine. I was still sort of in maybe the adolescence of my recovery. So I was very concerned for my daughter's well-being. I was charged with kidnapping my own daughters. I spent nearly 5 months in jail fighting the charges at the Washington County Jail. I was not provided with my prescribed methadone. So I did have to come off it cold turkey. There's a lot of exaggerated anxiety, depression, insomnia, gastrointestinal discomfort, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting is typical. It was pretty horrible to go through, but it didn't kill me.
Hey, you. How are you doing?
Today I'm a lot more clear-headed.
You want a treat when we're done?
My headspace is a lot more my own, and it's a lot less invaded by, say, the presence of the methadone, which was just like leaving a constant cloud or a haze over me. So with an 8 and a 6-year-old running around, there's really no time to be tired. And I'm looking forward to being able to spend more clear-headed time with them. I'm still confident that I won't relapse, in spite of all the difficulties and trials that I'm going through right now. I don't look for opioids as a crutch anymore. I have a degree in computer engineering, and my hopes are to obtain some stable, challenging employment within my field, whether it was the illicit opioids or the legal methadone. They're just chains that I no longer have to carry, and it's much more peaceful to be with myself.
Recovery starts with a call. Call 1-800-662-HELP or visit battlingopioids.org.
I'm John Hartnett. I'm the Recovery Service Navigator with the Meadville Medical Center Foundation's Let's Talk Overcome Addiction campaign. I am a person in recovery from a substance use disorder. I became involved with the recovery community in 2015 when I lost 15 friends that year. I went to 15 funerals, and I was engaged in a period of abstinence at the time. I had become fed up with drinking and drugging. So I got engaged with mutual aid fellowships. They recommend service. Given that I had lots of friends dying from opioids and other drugs, I got involved with support groups.
Coming to us is John Hartnett. John is currently in recovery from a substance abuse disorder. He began his process of recovery in 2015 after losing 15 friends and has become a strong advocate for people struggling with addiction. One of his projects is organizing events under the Let's Talk Overcome Addiction campaign, which brings people together to discuss solutions through community collaboration. Hi, John. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And I just wanted to elaborate that you lost 15 friends from overdose deaths, correct?
Yeah, mostly opioid overdose deaths in 2015, and I'm still losing lots of friends, but it has subsided somewhat.
What have you seen since we talked last with the opioid epidemic? Are you seeing a decrease?
I'd say methamphetamine use has become far more popular, which presents different challenges. In as much as it's less deadly, but it has more psychological effects. But at the same time, we've definitely seen a decrease in overdose deaths, which I'd have to say has to do with reduction in stigma surrounding substance use disorders and increased accessibility to treatment and widespread distribution of naloxone.
John, you are a recovery navigator. How has the recent coronavirus outbreak changed how you deal with those in recovery?
Well, obviously working in a health system, I want to make sure not to bring anything home with me. We haven't been hit so far, but I've been isolating myself and trying to encourage the local 12-step mutual help organizations to get engaged with the Zoom online platform, which you can connect to Zoom for mutual help meetings via computer or tablet or a smartphone or even by telephone. And we've grown quite a vibrant little community up here of online meetings.
You're in Crawford County. What suggestions do you have for people, since we're all under quarantine at this time? What tips do you have for people who need help with recovery? Where can they go for resources?
Well, a great place to start would be letstalkhelps.com/Zoom. It has a comprehensive Google Calendar of local resources so far as Zoom goes. We've also been providing a new 12-step mutual help organization meeting at noon every day. That's available on that website. It's anonymous, and the idea is that it's open to anyone, so anybody would be welcome to join and share about their frustrations, what's going on. Definitely engaging in these online platforms would be my big recommendation, and connecting so you don't feel so isolated. I'd say people have found it to be very effective to alleviate some of their apprehensions about what's going on in the world around us. Also, most importantly, would be to breathe. Take a nice deep breath, and things will work out. More will be revealed.
John, as a recovery navigator, how does interacting with people going through recovery, how does that help your recovery?
Well, it gives me a lot of gratitude that I've managed to put some distance between myself and the substances. And it's really gratifying to see people grow and change and find a new way to live.
John, thank you for joining us on this program, and good luck with everything. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Recovery starts with a call. Call 1-800-662-HELP or visit battlingopioids.org. Our next guest is Cami Anderson. She is a certified prevention specialist and student assistant program trainer in the Tunkhannock Area School District. Hi, Cami, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Cami, we had you on previously in this series, and you've always talked about or tried to drive home the importance of educating our youth, specifically the younger aged kids, starting in kindergarten.
Yes.
Why is it so important to talk about avoiding drugs and alcohol at such a young age?
I think universal prevention, which is that K through 12 education, is so important for every kid to hear, but they also should be hearing it consistently. So I think the younger we start, the more they hear it. They get, messages all the time about, drugs and alcohol out there. So we need to make sure that we are giving them consistent messages. I think the earlier we start, we build a foundation that then grows kind of with them, and we're able to do that.
Well, when you say start early, first of all, how early, and what do you say to kids who are in like first, second, third, or fourth grade?
So I think when we talk about kids, when we talk to kids in kindergarten and first, second grade, we talk a lot about medicine safety. What's safe to put in our bodies. We don't necessarily even have to talk about the drug itself, but how do we take care of our bodies? How do we keep it healthy and safe, and what do we need to do? And then we kind of build on what should we be keeping out of our bodies. So in the beginning, a lot of it has to do with, just medicine, and then we could get into some of the stuff like cigarettes and alcohol as they get older.
Mm-hmm. How do you continue reaching out to students and families when they're out of school, like in the summer months or even now during this pandemic?
Well, in the summer months, we provide camps that might be at the school. We go to them and we work with the kids that way. We do a lot of community outreach in the summer. That's pretty much our main focus, is to kind of be in the community at any kind of place that people are, that we could have an opportunity to speak to them. So like I said, a lot of times camps or festivals that we might put a display out to get information out to parents, because as much as we want to educate kids, we also want their parents to have the same message that they can give at home. During this pandemic and our kids not being in school, we've really had to shift our focus. So I talk about universal prevention and how important it is, but right now what I think we need to do is prioritize and make sure that they are getting a lot of their basic needs met, really reaching out to the families that are struggling and that we knew would be struggling, to make sure, and we do that via telehealth, through telephone, and make sure we're making those contacts that those kids and families are okay.
As a certified prevention specialist, how do you encourage kids to come to you if they feel the need to talk or tell you something that they saw that wasn't right?
Well, I think in a way I'm blessed because I've been in the district for so long that they have seen me since kindergarten. So when they do get older, they are a little more comfortable knowing me. But really, what I tell any of my kids is to talk to an adult that they trust in the building. So a lot of times it may not be that they're coming to me with something. They may be going to their school counselor who will then come to me.
Okay. Thank you very much, Cammie.
Thank you.
Those in recovery are often told at the beginning of their journey that they can have a life beyond their wildest dreams. Many remember questioning those words. However, some discovered the statement is true.
Hi, I'm Emily Hogarth, and I've been clean since August 19th, 2016. I was introduced to opiates my sophomore year in high school, and then by the end of my senior year, I was like fully addicted. It went downhill fast. Like once I started shooting it, there was no turning back. And I just put everything I had into it. I was living in my ex-boyfriend's dad's car in his garage. I was couch surfing. I was staying at my drug dealer's house. I started selling it. It was bad. I can't imagine that I was living like that, like animalistic. It was just awful. And I just realized that I was wasting my life.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm an addict and I have not used a drug or a drink since May 19th, 2014. I started smoking weed probably at 14 or 15, cigarettes too, and I came to senior year and tore my ACL. That sent me to the emergency room. I had to get surgery, and I was prescribed pain medicine afterwards, and that sort of opened up a bigger door for using, and it kind of left a big hole inside of me. So I eventually found heroin, and definitely that's kind of what brought me to my knees. That was like almost the end of my road. There really wasn't much else I wanted to do besides use heroin once I found heroin. It made me feel like very calm, and it made me feel like I didn't care about anything. I went to jail, Dauphin County Prison, for about a year. You're obviously in one place for a long time, and then you get out and there's so much else moving around you. What do? The only thing I did was what I did before I got there, and that was really the only thing I knew how to do. I ended up having to go to the hospital twice in one night, and I vividly remember that. I remember how I felt, and I remember leaving the hospital twice. Those 2 times I was there, I just ripped my IVs out and just walked home. And the next day, I showed up at treatment. It was my parents' choice. I wasn't aware of what was going on because I was basically blacked out and overdosing. I basically came to at treatment. And then I realized I was there, and I was very mad. I didn't really feel like around most people that I fit in, but those were definitely my people, and they pretty much loved me back to life. I met Emily at a meeting.
I actually met him at a meeting, and I knew him for a while, but I never really liked him because he had a mohawk, and I didn't like his lip ring. I
actually found enough courage to go up to say hi to her. She's cute. She's a little bit more reserved than me. I'm a lot more social and open, and there's a good mix between me and her.
And then he messaged me, and we started dating shortly after that. What I love about him now is that he's so supportive, and he has more clean time than I do. So if I'm struggling, he gives me a lot of courage and wisdom, and just what his experience was and how he got through those things that I struggle with.
I proposed to her in Inner Harbor in Baltimore, and I think she saw it coming, but, I got down on one knee and I was like, will you be my wife? And she said yes.
It was so sweet. When I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified. My son's name is Callias James Hogarth. The James is after my brother. I feel more fulfilled now that I have him. I don't know, he's just perfect, and I couldn't imagine life without him.
I definitely feel like it's my duty and responsibility now that I am clean to help other people.
Like, if I didn't have those people in the beginning, I wouldn't be here. I'd probably be dead.
I know sharing my story may feel a little uncomfortable for me at times, but I've been doing it consistently for the past 5 years, and it's kept me clean, and it's helped a lot of people, and it's helped me more. I'm starting to see what they said to me in the beginning of my journey, being clean, that, you know, you'll have a life beyond your wildest dreams, because there's no way I could have ever thought that this was possible. This is just the best life's been. I can tell you, I definitely sold myself short. I didn't think I would be married, have a loving wife and a new baby boy, let alone a car, a license, a place to live. All of the stuff that I have today is just completely a miracle.
They say it's like a life beyond your wildest dreams, and that's what it is. I never thought I'd get married. I never thought I'd have a son. I never thought I'd be living on my own and having a job that, like, I actually enjoy. It's beyond my wildest dreams, and I'm sure it's going to get much better from here.
Recovery starts with a call. Call 1-800-662-HELP or visit battlingopioids.org.
The opioid epidemic is a top priority for our next guest, Lackawanna County District Attorney Mark Powell. He's co-chair for the Lackawanna Recovery Coalition, which has distributed hundreds of Narcan kits, which are being used to save lives. Thank you, Mr. District Attorney, for joining us. You recently received, or your office recently received, a $900,000 grant to study opioid abuse in Lackawanna County. What has your office found regarding that study?
So the study is still in its infancy. What we've done is to impanel a group of local experts. I've hired individuals in the office to run the grant. And our hope is, through this study of studying each and every opioid overdose death in Lackawanna County, is to verify the information we think is working and to discover new reasons and new ways we can treat individuals who have an opioid addiction.
What else is your office doing to not only study opioid abuse in Lackawanna County, but to help overcome this epidemic?
Yeah, it's a war on all fronts. So we both treat the supply and the demand. So historically, what law enforcement would do is to try to reduce the supply of drugs in a community. And we're doing that in a full-out frontal attack to continue to try to deter drug activity, make arrests, hold drug dealers accountable, prosecute drug deliveries resulting in deaths. We investigate each and every overdose with the idea in mind to prosecute it more aggressively and to follow all leads as to where the drugs are coming from and who supplied them. But what law enforcement is doing a little differently these days is to focus a lot on the demand. In other words, to try to reduce the demand by treating the addiction. So instead of just throwing addicts in jail, we're looking at alternatives to help treat an addict with their addiction. So we have sustained recovery. So we have a very successful drug court that treats criminals who have opioid addiction, and it has a 20-year history and a very high success rate model across the state. We've also implemented a lower level drug court, Fresh Start, which is designed to get individuals who would typically slip through the cracks and not get treatment right away, but provide and offer treatment for them the day that they are arrested, in hopes that they use the treatment to mitigate the criminal consequences to them. So we're really attacking this at all levels. And as a part of the Opioid Coalition, we work with medical doctors and rehabilitative specialists to work together to try to come up with solutions.
And is one of those solutions right now during this difficult time, this pandemic, that we're all living through, do you find it to be even more of a challenge to fight this opioid epidemic?
Sure, it's an absolute challenge because a part of the recovery community or meetings is to rely on fellow individuals in recovery. And you can't go to these meetings anymore without the risk of spreading the virus. So many of the meetings are occurring virtually. I'm also a member of the Recovery Bank in Scranton, and we've gotten very creative on how we could provide these avenues for people, both online courses that they can be a part of a virtual world, and then also using programs to conduct meetings virtually, like Skype or Zoom, that we actually have meetings take place, but people are doing it in the safety and security of their own home. But it provides a whole different challenge. Plus, everybody's facing a little more anxiety these days, and individuals who are prone to use drugs often have problems in times of anxiety or uncertainty. So we're very concerned on how this epidemic can affect the recovery community.
And lastly, do you have any resources available for people who are struggling right now? Where can they go for help with treatment or programs or information?
So the good news is we have lots of resources. There are a lot of programs out there these days to help individuals. It's really not a matter of being able to get treatment. It's knowing that you need treatment. So the Recovery Bank is a good source, and they will direct you to treatment, but they're not a treatment facility. They're a facility really to provide sustained recovery. The Lackawanna County Rehabilitation Group can direct you and financing for you to get treatment. And there are really dozens of very well-qualified rehabilitative services out there to provide treatment. So getting treatment really isn't the problem. Knowing that you need treatment is really where we have to start. And that's why law enforcement programs that get someone from the day they are arrested, the day they have a problem, the day they have experienced a medical problem, and get them immediately into treatment is really the key to success.
Okay, well, thank you, Attorney Powell, for joining us. We appreciate it very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Recovery starts with a call. Call 1-800-662-HELP or visit battlingopioids.org. The opioid problem in Philadelphia and southeastern Pennsylvania has been challenging over the last 2 years. In 2017, Philadelphia had the highest overdose deaths of any major city in the United States. Macon Scott and Nina Feldman of WHYY discussed some of the proposed solutions, including one of the most controversial, safe injection sites.
Nina, the opioid epidemic has hit Philadelphia and the region especially hard. For example, in 2017, Philadelphia had the highest rate of overdose deaths of all the big cities in the United States. And since then, city officials, public health people have tried to come up with solutions. One of the perhaps most controversial ones is a safe injection site. How would that work?
So if Philadelphia sets up a supervised injection site, it'll be the first one in the United States. These sites exist all over Canada and Europe, and they've been shown to be pretty effective at reducing opioid overdose deaths. The way it would work is someone would come to the site and bring their own drugs to inject and do so under the supervision of medical professionals who would be standing by at the ready with naloxone, the opioid overdose reversal drug, so that if somebody were to overdose, somebody would be right there to help revive them.
And there has been a lot of pushback against this site, in part from the neighbors in the area where the site is most likely to be located. People say they don't want it there. They don't want any, what they say would bring increased drug traffic to the area. But there's also been pushback from higher places, so to speak.
That's right. So last February, the federal government, the Trump administration, filed a lawsuit to try to prevent this space from opening in federal court. It's still moving its way through the courts, so we'll see. The city of Philadelphia has come out in support of a site, but they're not paying for it. They're not operating it. And they say they will support the operators if this goes through, but that remains to be seen.
What are some other options for people who, let's say, want to get into treatment, want to stop using drugs and want to start a new chapter?
Yeah, so the city has been pushing a drug over any other. It's a treatment drug called buprenorphine, and it's a form of medication-assisted treatment. A lot of people might have heard of methadone. That's been around for a while, and buprenorphine is similar in that it's a low-grade opioid. It staves off withdrawal symptoms and stems cravings, but unlike methadone, you don't have to go to a clinic to get it every single day. You can take a few doses home with you, so that just makes it a lot more convenient to incorporate into everyday people's lives. So the city is really pushing that over any other option.
And are there treatment spaces available? So if somebody is ready to start?
Yeah, there actually are spaces available. So the city has about 12,000 slots for medication-assisted treatment, and there are about a quarter of them open. So for those who can access treatment and are ready, the space is there.
And what's the sense, has any of this had an impact in a positive way?
It sort of depends how you measure. 2017 was the most deadly year we've seen, and the overdose deaths have gone down since then. I think it's important to note that that might not necessarily be because fewer people are using opioids or even fewer people are overdosing. What we might just be seeing is that the proliferation of naloxone, that opioid overdose reversal drug, has really increased in communities. And a lot of people are more comfortable using the drug, have access to the drug, so that if somebody does overdose nearby, people are there ready to reverse that overdose, in a way that they might not used to be. So in one sense, yes, it's working. Fewer people are dying. You can't argue with that. On the other hand, I think in a broader sense, stemming the crisis and how well the policies we've been working on have had an impact on that sort of remains to be seen.
Thank you, Nina.
Yeah, thank you.
Recovery starts with a call. Call 1-800-662-HELP or visit battlingopioids.org.
Before I came in here, I had a couple months, I was just out on the street after they took my daughter away. I struggled getting clean and staying clean for my whole life. So, my name is Jeremy Wheaton. I'm 35 years old. I'm from Palmerton, Pennsylvania. I came here about 22 months ago. They opened the doors, welcomed me. I was resistant at first, but as soon as I started, submitting to the program and doing what I had to do, I started changing everything about myself.
Coming to us from PBS 39 in the Lehigh Valley is Jeremy Wheaton. He is in recovery for opioid addiction. After struggling for many years, he recommitted himself to recovery in a residential treatment program. That was more than 2 years ago. Today, Jeremy has a steady job and is training to become a certified recovery specialist. Hi, Jeremy. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi, how are you?
Tell us about your recent journey since we last talked. You obtained steady work. How has it been going for you?
It's good. I got a full-time job, which keeps me pretty busy. That's my main thing that I do every day. But I'm also working on myself still to this day, and studying to be a certified recovery specialist.
What do you hope to accomplish as a certified recovery specialist?
I just want to be able to give back, to continue helping people that are struggling. I think that's something that I think I needed to do with to keep myself strong. Also, I would like to eventually get into prevention with maybe the adolescent youth, to prevent them from even picking up in the first place.
That sounds like a good idea. What would you say to people today who are struggling with addiction? What suggestions would you have? I think, don't be afraid to ask for help. That's one of the hardest things to do.
our pride gets in the way of that. But you know, ask for the help. The help's there, and there's a lot of good people willing to help you.
For those who are out there struggling, I mean, how did you finally reach the point where you asked for help and, you know, cross the threshold into recovery?
For me, I mean, I lost everything. So I hit rock bottom, and I hit it pretty hard. So I kind of ran out of options. I mean, it was either do this or there's no more point of living. So I had no choice. So I had to ask for help. It was there wasn't any option at that time. I mean, I had nothing left.
So do you still struggle on a daily basis, or would you say you're recovered?
Every day is I think we have our little struggles, but I mean, I do pretty well. I think you still got to work on your behaviors and not fall into the same aspects of things you were doing in your past. So, but yeah, I mean, I have come a long way. I don't have a desire. I understand right now, like, it's my choice to be sober, and it's something I'm proud of, to make that choice every day.
Is it hard to avoid triggers or to fight off the triggers that may tempt you?
For me, it's not. I mean, I know for some people it is, but for me, it's not. I mean, I stay focused a lot on my family. My daughter's a big motivator in my life, so that keeps me pretty focused and keeps me focused on what I need to do every day to accomplish goals.
So for people out there who are going through recovery or trying to make that first step into recovery, there is hope, right?
Absolutely. Like I said, there's a lot of good people that are out there helping every day. Addicts like myself that want to give back. So, you know, don't be afraid to ask for their help.
Okay, just ask for help. Well, thank you for joining us, and I'm very happy to hear about your success in life. So take care.
You too. Thank you.
Recovery starts with a phone call. Call 1-800-662-HELP or visit battlingopioids.org. Shannon Peak from Luzerne County battled his addiction for many years and continues his recovery. Shannon has worked in the social services field for the past 12 years and recently became a recovery specialist for Clean Slate in Wilkes-Barre.
My background with the addiction, it started at the normal age of 12, 13 years old. When I was in treatment, interesting thing, I always thought marijuana was sort of a gateway drug. It sort of got me into other things. That water tank up on top of Pringle Hill there, did a lot of drinking up there. I started smoking, chewing tobacco to fit in, to be part of the cool crowd or whatever. And everything that came after it, the alcohol, the marijuana, then the harder stuff, hallucinogenics, opiates, other narcotics, cocaine, crack cocaine, everything was brought into succession while they're doing it. And everything that comes with it, arrests, overdoses, bankruptcies, treatment facilities, detoxes, psych hospitals, and fortunately, I didn't die. And a lot of people I knew back in the late 90s, early 2000s, including a woman I was engaged to, passed away. And it's back then it wasn't really a lesson learned. These people, they didn't, the person that I was engaged to passed away 5 years after I had come into recovery. So that hit hard, even though we didn't speak in about 4 years. I remember getting messages about a month before she had passed away. We were in a disagreement about something, and we were talking about being grateful for the things that are still in our life today and how that's huge for people in recovery. And I still look at the message. I am grateful. I am not going to die, at least not from drugs and alcohol. Granted, her death might not have been a direct result. The denial that comes with addiction, that you don't even see a problem. I heard it best said at a mutual aid group that you don't know you're in a fog till you step out of it. My present situation, I am currently working as a certified recovery specialist at the Clean Slate Centers in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Basically what a certified recovery specialist is you are that example that I talked about. You're the ambassador for the recovery community. What I hope to do, and what a certified recovery specialist hopes to do, is to take that person that comes looking for help and get them acclimated and assimilated into the recovery community. The things that I've been through, the overdoses, the arrests, financial, emotional insecurities, the list of things that this disease causes, the disease of addiction and alcoholism. Everything that it's done to me uniquely qualifies me to help someone who's in that same position, to get through it. Not to just sit in it and, to take some sort of accountability for their actions, for their lives, and to want something better. Don't be afraid to reach out and be honest. It's going to be the scariest thing you've ever done, but the most rewarding.
Recovery starts with a call. Call 1-800-662-HELP or visit battlingopioids.org.
I would like to thank our guests for being on tonight's show and for being an advocate for the treatment of those battling opioid addiction. It is our hope that those in need of help will have access to information and where to get help and to save lives. Visit battlingopioids.org for more information. On behalf of Pennsylvania Public Media, I'm Paula Giangiacomo. Thank you for watching.
It doesn't take long to become addicted to opioids. In fact, 10 Pennsylvanians die from them every day. Geisinger is committed to ending opioid addiction with both prevention and treatment. In the last 3 years, we've reduced the amount of opioids we prescribe by 50%, and we've opened 4 outpatient addiction treatment centers across the state to help patients recover from addiction. Learn more at geisinger.org/recovery.
Additional support provided by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and viewers like you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jason Negrone, captain of the South Whitehall Police Department. Drug addiction affects the whole family, and getting drugs out of the house is the first step. Drug take-back boxes like this can be found in your community. You can dispose of over-the-counter or prescription medications, anything you think may be harmful. Here is our drug take-back box. It's just as simple as dropping mail off. Open up the slot, medication goes in, and you're done. Disposing of those medications is very important because some family members might struggle with addiction and may be looking for prescription medications in your home or in their own. A child or someone else might get a hold of them and may take them accidentally. Find a drop-off location near you through PA's Department of Drug and Alcohol programs. Doing your part will help keep unwanted drugs out of our community.
Recovery starts with a call. Call 1-800-662-HELP or visit battlingopioids.org.